Hello again, Daddy Rocky. I'm gonna ask how you feeling today and how are you in general?
Thank you, Khumo. Oh, I'm great, man. And I'm feeling all right to make this interview. I've been waiting for it.
Who is Rochester Rocky Mafafo and when were you born and where?
Rochester Rocky Mafafo, as they know me, is an artist born here in Kimberley in the 50s. I had a little poem that go there, but it doesn't matter now. I was born in the 50s in the ghetto of number 2. That's where I was manufactured and got manifested in my mother's womb. As an artist, I got this from my mother and my father.
You mentioned that your parents were artistic geniuses, so I just want to know what type of art did they do and in what ways did it influence your art eventually?
I've got some embroideries that my father was doing, although my father left me when I was 3 years. But through curiosity and so on, I happened to feel around and found some of the letters and some of the drawings that my father did pertaining embroidery. He did some embroidery on velvet and some pillow casings. My mother had this all her life, although my mother was a midwife. My mother had also artistic trades with her. I know that sometime, my mother studied in Pretoria, but she lived for some time in Western. There was a township in Johannesburg. And at the time, she was playing a little piano, and that also resonated on most of my children and so on. I'm a little bit musical also. I write music and so on. But then my mother was doing a lot of sewing and also embroidery. That's where I got it from. That's why I say this was manifested in the womb, and it got stamped on me, so that when I came out, I had a mission.
I want to ask it again. How did you grow up? And in general, what was your childhood like? And what was your favorite memory about your childhood?
My childhood was a bit very childish, I should say. I wasn't questioning a lot of things because my father wasn't there. I grew up only with my mother. It was a bit tough because it was my mother in a 3-room house. Well, I was born in number 2, and then we went to the township they call Khalishi. We had a 3-room house. It was my mother. Let me put it in the right way. My granny, my mother, and my younger sister. So I grew up among 3 women. I didn't know anything about a man. I never saw an underwear or so on. It was only mine, and there was these 3 women. They were not just easy women. They were very, very strict women. My granny was very artistic too. He was very hands-on somebody. At least we had some tools. There was a pliers, there was a hammer, and so on. So my mother was also very artistic. So I grew up in a very hands-on house. My mother had to fix it. She was riding a bicycle. She was a midwife, but she wasn't working for a hospital or anything. She was she was free working for herself. So she was riding a bicycle whenever she was going to deliver babies and so on. And in those years, babies were delivered not at the hospital, at the house. My mother had to get a call, and she would go to the house and deliver the baby. And the 10 days, she would be cleaning and carrying the baby. Now, I used to pack a suitcase when she was called, and that's how I grew up. I had to do a lot of chores around the house, cooking, baking. Baking was one of the things that I really liked when I was young, and I was a very good cook then, and doing all the other chores that men would do around the house without the absence of my father.
And off camera, you were just talking about your notions on feminism. So I'm just interested now about how does it influence your opinion about women, especially with the contemporary theory that we are currently learning in the classrooms today. Like in general, what do you think about feminism?
Sorry, because you'll see my recent work is about a woman. I call it a womb manifestation. That's why I said I was manifested in my mother's womb. I'm happy. I swam for 9 months in those waters, primordial waters. When every creature came through the waters. That's why in the Bible they say God made out of the waters, He made us. And if you go back to the Egyptian spiritual system, you see that everything was made out of the water. Out of the water, out of the womb. That the woman has broken water, and my mother had to rush and do those things. So right there, my mother plays a very pivotal role there in my relationship with women today, because I'm a married man, and I've had 3 women in my life. I've got 8 children. My first, the first woman gave me 1 child, and the second gave me 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. The one that I'm presently with gave me 3 children, so I've got 8 in all, and I've got 12 grandchildren.
What do you think art does for the mental development of children and how it influences their upbringing? Because I have my own background in art when I went to creation. Although I'm not an artist today, but from an artist perspective, what do you think art does in terms of the child's development, how it makes them better people even?
As a human being, we are gods, meaning that we are creators and destroyers of ourselves, if need be. Like God in the Bible, you see, He created this, but He's also destroying other nations and so on, or letting the nations destroy themselves. Art is very important. I was arguing that art should be inculcated into the education system at an early age, right from grade R. And it must be so right up to grade 12. Because everybody is an artist. Everybody is a creator. Although we are not all committed to this conviction, but introducing art into the lives of children will make them and show them first the beauty and the responsibility of a lot of things, because as an artist, you've got to be responsible. You are responsible what you are saying. You are responsible what you are showing and giving the nation. As a musician, if you sing vulgar words and song and so on, people will follow that, especially if you're a superstar. People will follow that and think that is the right thing. But, a good example is reggae music. The reggae artists are shaping the communities, and they've shaped a lot of us. They've brought the sense of identity, sense of the moral aspect of human being, the godly side of human being. They brought it and into the lyrics. Now, as artists, if I'm going to paint vulgar things and so on, I let the children do that same way and go that way.
How did you get to be a drug stripped, and how was it like to go far from home for what you believed was your calling?
Okay, I was always painting, but when I was there, I was feeling funny that this isn't me, I shouldn't be here. So I just left abruptly after getting my salary, and I came back to Kimberley and I started painting. There's one painting you'll see, it's also there. I made that one in 1975. It was the year that before I went to Rochester, yes. There came this competition and I entered. One of the paintings, it was a naked woman that, half body naked. I did a painting of that. Actually, somebody said for me, one of my friend's younger sisters said for me and posed for me. I did that one, and there was one of number 2 painting that I did. And when Eric saw this one, that painting got me a first prize, and Eric said, "You must go to Rochester, you're going to study fine art at Rochester." And my mother was happy with me because I was a bit naughty in those years, and I joined the gangs. There was these gangsters, the Mexicans and the mafias, and I was fiddling around with that, and my mother thought this one must just go far away from Kimberley. Yeah, Rockstrift was really the place to be. I still dream of Rockstrift, and I've got that ambition of setting up something like Rockstrift before I pass on from this world. It's really a place that should be, and I think I would advise politicians to copy rock strips for each and every township to have an art center.
So you were on a topic about transparency.
Transparency, yes, transparencies. Yes, that we document after producing the work of art, we photograph it and keep the transparencies. Meaning, transparencies is like the actual colors that is in the work. Then you send the work away, authenticate the work and send it away. Those people that buy the work are not supposed to reproduce it for financial gain or commercial so on, because it's against the law. The laws protect the artists. For 50 years, nobody must produce that work without your consent or your family or the next of kin's consent. That's how it is. But because we don't know this, we've lost a lot. I was just explaining earlier on that that's how France and the Netherlands got so wealthy and so rich, because Leonardo and Rome also. Leonardo da Vinci has produced these works. And these works are being reproduced all over and over. If you want to buy Leonardo da Vinci reproduction, a real, first edition or second edition, you pay a lot of money for that. But we are not doing it. They are not, in South Africa, the artists are not so well educated to do this. But the other thing is because the Europeans are image worshippers. They worship images. That's how important art is in Europe, And people that are buying our art are Americans and the Europeans. Even the South African elites, those that say they are educated, they don't understand why they are buying art, why, and so on. Even we as artists, when we started, we didn't know this. That's why we got bamboozled, we got robbed many, many times by these European art collectors and so on, until we became wise and said, oh, we must cling to this is important. Or until you have went to Europe or overseas, then you see the importance of art over there, yeah. We have to, it's our heritage. I know that the Africans, that the people that built the pyramids in Egypt are Africans. Why? Why do I know? How do I know, if you ask me? Because I see the images that our ancestors and our forefathers made when they built these pyramids. Broad nose and big lips, to the extent that when the French archaeologists and explorers went to there, they shot them off so that people wouldn't say that it's Africans that made these pyramids. It is Africans that made these things. And they stole most of our artifacts and send them to Europe. If you want to buy them from Europe, you have to pay a lot of dollar in order to buy your own artifacts.
Out of all of your pieces, which one is your favorite, and for what reason is this specific piece your favorite?
I think my recent works are the favorite works that I've done, because I think I've grown and I've had a lot of experience. And these works are great because my genetic memory bank has not failed me. It keeps on coming to me and telling me who I was and who I am. Now is a turning point, because as Africans, we have been denied our rights, our identity have been lost. We are lost, we don't know who we are, our language, And the artist's work is to open the conscience of the people and preserve the heritage. And I think that's what I'm doing, I'm at now. And so on. I would like people, when they come to the gallery and they have a look at my work, think of education, that they are learning something. They must try to learn, because most of my work are metaphorical, are metaphors, are symbolic. Because if the thing is symbolic, people take time and they like to find out what is it. In the process, then you will learn. But if it's just easy, you take it for granted. No, it's just like.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this. Today, we are privileged to sit down with one of the great artists from this region, and the Rochester Rocky Mafafo. And I would like us to talk about the journey from which we started talking about putting together your exhibition, that is SANKOFA, 360 degrees, a retrospective exhibition. What I particularly like about this exhibition is the oldest work being the one that you made in 1965 when we were very, very, very young. I just want you to take us through the first meeting that we had, the first telephone conversation that we had earlier this year in January.
Thank you, Makgato. Chepapeism, that's the thing. Maybe I should call it Chepapeism, because really you have pushed me beyond the limits that I thought I'm not talking about age. People will say when you get old, you get lazy, or you haven't got the energy that you had, but you have proved to me that I'm a very young man this year. When I met you the first time, I didn't know you, but fortunately you come from the north, where my father comes from, and I was studied in Petersburg. I studied at Chepape. Here is the very speaking guy who comes to me and offers me an exhibition because he wants to honor me for my being involved in the arts for those number of years. My sister was just saying 60 years, and I was thinking, and she's right, 60 years. But here comes Chepape, almost half my age. And then he offers me an invite to exhibit at the William Humphreys, not museum, art gallery, but museum. It's a national museum. I'm a patron of this museum, though I've been exhibiting here since I came from Rochester and so on. But when he was offering this to me, I was sort of two-sided. I was thinking, maybe, I don't know, because most of the people, just because he's coming now fresh into work, he's trying to lift himself up using me, and I was sort of like skeptic because of everything that's happening in the country. Everybody wants to take a little advantage of it, but I was thinking, oh man, it's a great idea. Although I haven't exhibited for a long time, but when this offer came, I thought, yeah man, this is a chance. Because I was at this time at a level where I'm doing a deep research, trying to look at the problems in our country and who am I, the problem of the identity and all that. And I got some answers, but I was thinking, oh man, through my art I can put these answers forward. So let me take this offer of this young man who comes from Limpopo, where my father was born, and we got this spiritual connection there, with him, because he's Bedi. I've also got a Bedi background. So let me take this offer and run forward with it and see. But I thought it was just too soon because I haven't accumulated and expressed what I really wanted to put down according to my research of who we are, because we got an identity crisis in the country, definitely. But artists are very much a part and parcel of this resolve to this identity.
Okay. Thank you so much. I had known about you way before I set my foot here in Kimberley, because I am a student of art history, especially South African art history, but more of black art history by black artists. So I came across your name some time ago while I was reading the Rockdrift history. But also when I came here, I spoke to Sabata Mpamukai, who's a lecturer of creative writing at Chepape University. So the first week I told him and I asked him, who is the artist that you know in the visual art sector who resides here in Kimberley? And he said, no man, Mcunu, there is an artist, Tate Rocky. He's a brilliant artist. I said, no man, this name sounds familiar. And this is just to say that before we actually met, I had already known about you residing in this province, and I think for me, the idea of having your retrospective, it was a very impressive idea, and also looking at our register of past exhibitions, you featured there twice, and I thought it's about time we also give you an opportunity to exhibit your work. So talk to us about the works that you have selected or you have put forward for SANKOFA 360 degrees retrospective exhibition.
Oh yes, about the works that I've sort of selected. Fortunately, the museum has been accumulating my works ever since I would say, documenting, because there was a point where I was documenting the townships. I told myself I'm going to document the townships in South Africa because after some time they will not be there, new structures will be coming up. And that's true, that happened. So the museum had a number of my works and they've been accumulating. And then here I just finished, or I just started some of the works that will affect the 360 degrees. When I explain it is that I've always explained it like when I came to Rochester, when I was doing history of art, I was introduced to history of art, up to Egypt when I was doing history of art. And that's where now I caught the fever actually. Now, in my research, when I went on, Makgato came to me at a point where I was unleashing on canvas and I was doing some scribblings and all that about this beginning of introduction into Egyptian art before we could go to the Greeks, the Romans, and the European and the modern era and so on. And because you see, most of my work has got a kind of traditional touch of the late artists like especially the watercolors of Sihlali and those other artists that were doing township, what we call township art. Because we come from that area, we were prompted to do the area around you. And that's where I got I got caught in when I came from Rochester. And although I did a lot of work that is not here in this exhibition, which I really like and would like to see this work coming like in a form of a book, I would like to get a writer that will just do justice to this work that I did, but I don't have it. I've got it in transparencies though. But fortunately, I had some other works of Clipdown, Alexander, and some of Kimberly and Princeton, the watercolors that they did. I was just changed there, and as I say, I was going back to working from my spiritual research and projecting our identity as Africans from the time of Halowe, which is the ancient times, and I happened to get some information. So when he got me, I was right at that stage. So when he introduced this proposal to me, I thought, no man, let me put together these works together, because I did a lot of work and I was a little bit into manufacturing. I made doors also and tables, tables that will reflect the African touch and the aesthetics thereof, but I haven't exhibited, but some of the doors and things will be here. So I thought, no man, here is a chance to really go into watercolor one more time, and especially acrylic. I was working predominantly with acrylic now that time. I used to do oil painting, but I discarded it a little bit because it's a bit expensive and it takes time to sort of like. So my working on acrylic has got a reminiscence of the watercolor. If you look at some of my acrylics, you think it's watercolor. So I was thinking, let me incorporate this together with the information that I got, so that I can let this work go out to the community and sort of teach I ended up saying I want to teach my community, I want to teach my people who, and open up to them who they are, after doing some spiritual research and opening up my third eye, my chakra, through the research that I went through, because I think my genetic memory bank has not failed me to find out who I am. So I added this kind of work together, and I ended up saying, but this is almost a 360-degree. I'm going back to where I was at Rochester. Mind you, I did a lot of other work far away from Egypt, but it started coming back to me again about who we really were. And I read some books like WHAG, Dr. and some Africanist material, and I thought this is a chance to really bring forth this part of my research forward to the people who are lacking and want to find out who they are. So I thought, no man, this will be just a great time to have this exhibition. This young man caught me just at the right time,
Can you speak to us about the first part of the title, which is SANKOFA, which is a Ghanaian concept that seeks to pay homage and encourage a generation or present generation drawing from the wisdom of the past generations. Can you really talk us through the SANKOFA itself?
Yes, truly. I grew up in a time of apartheid. You'll hear maybe in the speech that I'm going at the opening, I'm going to talk about a black diamond that was crystallized and manifested in the womb manifestation of a queen. My mother's name was Queen, and I really believe my mother was a queen. I will explain that sometime as well. So, but in my research, as I went, in South Africa, we couldn't cross the borders, we couldn't go to Botswana, we couldn't go to anywhere near without explaining where we are going, what are we going to do there. It was always not very safe for the government at the time for black men to leave. So I didn't know about Ghana, I didn't know about Nigeria. You're mentioning SANKOFA being a Ghana, well, truly it is, but it's a concept that Africans that are doing research about themselves and want to find out about themselves, coming from a background that I come from, of apartheid, where if I was found with a book of Dr. Ben Yakona or the book that I borrowed the other day, instead of going there and find out the origins of art, that one of Chicago, I would have landed at Robben Island, I'm sure, because that would have enlightened me to know who we are. And it seems like we were not allotted the chance to know who we are, because we had to be kept in a conflict, we had to be kept under subjugation, body, mind, and soul. So through my research, I always wanted to go to Benin. I'm still dreaming to go to Benin, because I already know how I connect with people in Benin. I already know how we connect with people, and that's my work. Like I said, I will always say the artist, not me, but I got it said that the artist is the conscious of the people. People who don't have artists or community, it's a community that don't have conscious. And it's useless for you to be an artist but you don't conscientize your people. You must understand that most of the concepts through fashion, through language, through many other things comes from the artist. We need musicians, actors, also make coin and come with concepts that the community absorbs and become their culture and way of living. So, like I said, when I went back to where I started at Rochester, the institute that I started right now, there was this introduction into Egypt. But as I went in my research, I found out, no, there's a connection here. And that connection makes me do the 360 degrees of doing what? Of reclaiming who we are. Already now there are people trying to reclaim that people, the people that peopled Egypt, or that the inhabitants of what you call as Egypt, were white people. The Egyptologists and especially the European scholars, they are stamping this and they are putting it onto us. And you see in the Bible that the Pharaohs subjugated the Israelites. So in my research I found out these very same Israelites were black people. Moses and all those Daniel, they were not Europeans, they were people of African stock. So when I do this research, I just can't be sitting here, I come to the conclusion that it's we, these people now, the cycle becomes complete. It becomes a 360. That's what in Ghana they say, go SANKOFA. In Setswana and Sesotho and Sepedi, because these people are one people, they come from one, they will say, Yakalowe. You know, that's what I'm doing in my artwork. Because I have to open the third eye of my people. I just explained the other day that if you don't, the artist do not do their work and open the third eye, the chakra of the people, we will always be under subjugation and false understanding that we are not that. We are this. Right now we are trying to be very European. And that's a confusion. Because even the Europeans, like I said the other day, who are in South Africa, they come from the Africans. So for us to really know who we are, there's no records of so unless we go back to Egypt and reclaim. SANKOFA means to reclaim your ancient past, reclaim your ancient glory. Now, as a visual artist and also I'm a musician, also I write little poetries and lyrics. I use these findings and explain it to the people through music, through drumming, especially through art. Like I said the other day, that we believe the way we believe unto Jesus because of Makgato who painted Jesus using his father as a model. Now, as a black artist or as an African artist, I have to go back to SANKOFA. That's how I came about the word.
Thank you so much. And parting shots, what do you hope to achieve through this exhibition? And in the past year, you have interacted also with the gallery. What do you hope this exhibition will add to already what this museum is doing?
I think it will add, and I'm hoping so. I think it's possible. I'm looking at you as a young man, and I'm looking on you, I hope, to see this happen. That this museum becomes an institute of education. I see they are building nearby here, Salt Plaiki University, an extension to that. We've got the court nearby, we've got colleges. I'm looking at this area. As an artist, I'm always conceptualizing and trying to be innovative and come up with looking at how will people do that. So I'm hoping and willing that you will see. I'm not sort of like hiding, but as a young man who is in this, you are not here for exploitation, you are here to disseminate what you have been imbued with, the education that we have, so that this institute, this museum, or all the other museums in South Africa, because each and every city seems like it's got a museum. In Polokwane there must be one, in Fontaine there's one, in King there's one. Becomes an institute for creative art, or for art education. I was saying the other day that South Africa is a country that is lagging behind in industry, and it's an industrial country. But the education, I think there's not enough that has been done there. The education of people who would be able to see this industrialization taking place, because people are talking of fourth industrial revolution, but while we never had the first industrial revolution, we can't even make a toothpick. You know, for the European industrial European Industrial Revolution, or the British Industrial Revolution in particular, to take place, creativity And innovation had to be the fundamentals. Like in China, look, China took only 50 years to be where they are today. What is the main thing if you check with Japan? I like to go to Japan and Google Chinese. In the schools there, they teach. A lot of their children, they are exposed to visual art, fine art, creativity, design, and all that. Because we're talking about artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence needs people who have a creative and artistic background, and we can achieve that. Since our ancients, they came up with the concept of mathematics, what they invented. Science, mathematics, medicine, and the pipe, we talk about the pipe. You can't have buildings standing up so tall without that building. What is wrong with us here? One thing that is wrong is the Europeanization of the Africans that needs to be extracted. Not completely so, because there wouldn't have been no Europeanization, because a lot of the Moors that probably made about soul, about Khumo, about dressing, about all those other things and science. We were the first people to have a university. So I think with people young as you in institutes like this, go beyond the PhDs, go beyond your masters, and come up with a new concept of education, especially in the creative realm, if I put it right. Creativity, design, especially art. The world is colorful, the world has got artificial intelligence, but without art, how will we approximate that? That's why I'm thinking, and I'm hoping, and I said the other day, I'm available for any service that I might dispatch in that regard to see education of art going forward. And I would like I was saying, if ever you leave Kimberley, you must leave Kimberley sort of reading in visual arts, creativity and so on, especially the education. But I've always been saying art should be inculcated into the education system in South Africa, right from grade up to middle. And then we have people that think constructively and innovative. And innovators.
Great, this is the last one. What advice would you give to young artists who is watching this? Actually, this is not an artist yet, but maybe the discussion that we've had sort of trigger something like you were triggered by coming here with your mom a long time ago. What advice would you give to that particular individual? And what advice do you give to an artist who's starting out? And what advice do you give to an artist who has been in the industry for a very short time and they're thinking of giving up?
My advice to those that are so not necessarily very interested in art, but as long as you are youth, know that you're a God. Go to Psalm 86.2. It says, we are children of the Most High. I won't say God, I will say Ramasedi. So, as we are children of the Most High, we are droplets from the main bucket of water. We are gods. And what is the duty of God? Is to be creative. Well, sometimes destructive if necessary, and so on, but it's to be creative. If the world had that destructive continually, we wouldn't be living. Living is not destruction. Living is creative. To be creative. So, come to the gallery. Come to the museum. I don't know if it's free, but come to the museum. Even if you are paying a little stipend on there, come to the museum and go about and learn. Whenever there's an exhibition, come, you will be learning a lot. I was saying the other day, just close your eyes and try to go about. You won't know where you are going, but once you open your eyes, voila, it's all over. Victoria, and to those artists who are aspiring or who are aspiring and want to be artists. The thing is to study, read art books. Go to artists who are working there. Like I say, I used to go to, when I was about 8 or 7 years, Tafimo. Those who know Tafimo, he used to make pictures, sort of stylized pictures of black figures and African, like in the Congos and all those mountains. And then on Mesonite, people go about selling them. You still see them. I still have one or two there. I'll use that for the students. Go to those people and look how they are working. They won't reject you and send you away. I used to do watercolors out on the street in Alexander, in Kwamashu, all over in Kailicha. I didn't know anybody, but people would come and watch and say, wow, and so on. I would have befriended them at the end of the day. That's how art connects us. That's why we say visual art is the queen of all arts, and it communicates on all walks of life, rich and poor. Those that have nothing, those that are not educated, and those that are education. Visual arts connects us all. And to those that are aspiring into artists, do not run and say and start going egotistically that you're an artist, you know this and so on, and go about the path and showing people. No. Submerge yourself in art and start learn and teach yourself how to draw. And when you draw, go out there into nature, because nature is the greatest teacher. Draw whatever you see and use your simple pencil. Do not imagine yourself an artist who is out there. Art is not a pop and place thing. It's a very, very not difficult per se, but you have to be involved in it. You have to explore most of the time. You have to find yourself. Men, know thyself, know your ability. You've got a lot of ability within yourself, but you have to experiment. You know, they say practice makes perfect. You have to continue practicing, although in art there is no say like you are perfect. You'll find a big artist like Ernest Mangoba, who was in exile. You can see his early works and look at his latest work. It looks like just sticks and so on. It's not to say it's an in-depth thing. He's dealing with some other concept of life and things like those. Because art is so deep, can be so deep, bringing out the spiritual things that it's a matter of bringing the unseen and making it visible for people to see. You know, and that means submerging and immersing yourself deep into yourself and into the spirit world. Others people draw, they work and bring out dreams, but the main fundamental thing, you must be able to draw. You must be able to draw. You know, you can't play music if you don't know notes, you know, or rhythm. You can't play drums when you don't understand rhythm and beats. So it's the same with art. You have to be able to draw and teach yourself, and there's nothing that you cannot do. Anything that you want to do, you are able to do. And for those artists that don't go about and run, your mama, I'm an artist. You will not say you're an artist. It's we, when we look at the results of the work, we'll say how artful you've got this. And art is not about beauty. It's expression from the deepest things. It's not about pretty things. No. I mean, because other people say, this is vulgar. And so, but that is the truth. Art is about the truth that you take out there for people to look at and read into the things. Because people come with symbolic. Sometimes it's come with allegories and metaphors. Sometimes poetic, like I used to say. Art is poetry. Visual art is poetry that you can see and touch. But poetry is art that you can hear and understand.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you working with us on this project, and we are excited for the offering that we are preparing, which will open on the 28th, and it will conclude on the 28th of February, opening on the 28th of November. Thank you so much.